Hello, everyone. Welcome to Harry Potter and the year everyone needed a haircut. Expecto Coronas. Anyway, today I would like to review with you the basics of music theory, so I'm going to start from the very beginning. You might want to take a notepad. Here it is for you. Yes, you. Go get it. Pause the video. Go get a notepad and a pencil. You go. Pause the recording. Go get it. Now, one of the things that is most fundamental, I still don't understand how there is anyone that can not tell me how many lines and spaces are on the stuff. Here we go. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. That was ugly. 4, 5. 5 lines. The only thing is you need to look at your hand and you need to count your fingers. Look at it. Look at your hand. You need to look at your hand and count your fingers. That's how many lines the stuff has. I don't want anyone to get this wrong. And now when you count the spaces, you just count the spaces between your fingers as 1. Okay, that didn't work. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 lines, 4 spaces. 5 fingers, 4 spaces. Now we are going to go through the clefs. Here is your treble clef. A reminder on how to draw it. You start from the second line. You go up to the third line, just like that. Then you go down to the bottom line, a little bit bigger. And then you go up and you swirl and all the way down. And then you get at the end. If you don't do it perfectly, that's fine. Lots of composers have done a lot worse. That tells you right there where this crosses. It tells you where the note G is. Okay? Now let's go to the alto clef. You draw a line. You draw in the middle and go around. Like this is connected. And right there when it intersects the stuff, this is where your C is. Okay? Now for the bass clef. Here it is. It looks like an ear. It has 2 dots. That crosses this here. And this shows you where F is. Perfect. Now let's stay with the bass clef for convenience. The next thing that we will see in piece of music possibly is accidentals. And here are your accidentals. This, and you need to do it in your notebook, the one that I asked you to go get it. This is a sharp. Not to be confused with the natural. Do you see how they look different? The sharp looks like tic-tac-toe. Now my natural is sort of ugly, and I'm going to do it again. It needs to be more squarish, okay? This is a natural. This is like erases sharps or flats. And this is a flat. The sharp raises the note. The flat lowers the note. The natural cancels them all. Any questions about this? If you need to do it on the staff, the accidental always goes in front of the note. So there it is. If we need to do this, we first do the accidental and then the note. If we need to do this, we can add the accidental in front of the note. Now here is how you draw notes. They usually are ovals. Here is a stem, and the stem goes to the octave of the note. You don't need to count, but approximately that long. This is how long it needs to be. Okay, so if it's like here, it needs to go down here. That's approximately how long it goes. Because of my music training, I had to copy notes very quickly. So therefore, I learned that if I just do this, if I draw a little bit of a diagonal line, like a thick diagonal line, like this, that is a perfectly acceptable note script. Now it is more difficult to do it on the computer because it doesn't recognize the strokes, but with a pencil it would be quite easy to do. Now the stems, if the stem is going up, it needs to be on the right side of the note, and if the stem is going down, it needs to be on the left side of the note. So now let's say we have a key signature. So we have one sharp, because this tells us where F is in bass clef. This is an F sharp. Then the next thing that we see in music is time signatures. And the time signatures have two numbers. Let's review. The top number tells you how many. The bottom number tells you what kind. Okay, so if you have a 2, 4, that means you have 2, and the bottom translates as a fraction. Do you see that? 2 quarter notes. Let's write some compound rhythms. We have 6, 8. That means that you have 6. And this, it translates as 1, 8. So 6, 8 notes. Now let's go quickly over the note values. So we have a whole note, that's just a circle, and that equals 4 quarter notes. Okay, if you take a pizza and you slice it in 4, you get 4 quarter notes. Or if you just slice it in half, you get 2 half notes. So that is some of the easiest division. And now if you take the half pizza, now take a look. We have the pizza and then the stem is almost like we cut the pizza in 2. That is 2 quarter notes, or 4 8 notes. 8 notes have a stem and a flag. Here is your hierarchy of notes. You have a whole note that divides into two half notes, and each one of them divides into a quarter note. So now you have four of them, and then each one of them divides into 8 notes. Then you have the 16th note, which has a flag and 2 stems. So in other words, a whole note is going to have 16 notes. Okay? You just have to be really good with fraction, or you just keep dividing. So if you want to know how many quarter notes, if you want to know how many 16 notes are in a quarter note, you just divide it by 2, and then you divide it by 2, and you find out that you have 4 16 notes. Does that make sense? Now let's review the dynamics. We have the basic dynamics. Piano. Write it down with me. Piano. And you have forte. Piano means soft. Forte means loud. In between them, you have mezzo piano. Notice the two Z's, mezzo piano. And you have mezzo forte. Now, you can go either way, and you can have double piano, which is spelled pianissimo. And you have the double forte, which is fortissimo. Notice the trend, simo. If you have triple piano, it will be pianissimo. And if you have triple forte, it will be fortissimo. Now you have the symbols that help you change dynamics. If you have something that's going like this, it's called crescendo. And you'll see it abbreviated like this. The opposite of crescendo is diminuendo or decrescendo. You will see both. You can see forte piano, which means loud and then suddenly soft. And you can see sforzato, which means forced, and other markings. So here is your note. How can we make it sound different? We can have a dot above it. That is called staccato. Why aren't you writing this down? You should be writing all of that in your notebook. Are you going to be watching the video and trying to search for it when it's time to do your quiz? You better have it in front of you. So this is staccato, that means short, which is different than tenuto. And tenuto means elongated. If you have this above the note, it means accent. And you need to really stress that note, because accent means to accent it. Now you can have a combination. You can have something like that. So you can tell, yeah, elongated, but kind of like detached. An important thing is to recognize when you have a slur and a tie. If the notes are the same, that is a tie. If the notes are different pitches, so they are not the same, that is a slur. A lot of you sometimes confuse slur with legato, and legato means style of playing, which means connected. We've gone over the way to write a staff, the staff, the clefs, the accidentals, the articulations, the note values, and here is where I'm going to expand a little bit with the review to give you the dotted rhythms and the rests. So if you have a dotted quarter note, that means it's a quarter note that needs to be divided in half, and now you have 2 8 notes. Okay, so you get one of those, and you take that quarter note, and that means that you have 1 plus an 8 note, okay? And that equals 1 and a half. However you want to put it, 1 and a half beats. If you have a dotted half note, this is a half note plus half of its value, which is a quarter note, or therefore you have 3 beats, 3 quarter notes. Now let's talk a little bit about tempos. So you have allegro, which means fast. You have moderato, which means moderate. You have andante, which means walking speed. You have largo, which is large or slow. You have adagio, that means at ease. And you have presto, which means fast as possible. Now those can have variations. So if you have allegro, allegretto means a little bit slower. If you have andante and you have andantino, that means is a little bit faster than andante. If you have adagio and you have adagietto, it's a little bit faster than adagio. So I hope this was a good review for you. Now we're going to get to our quizzes for this week.